So good to see everyone. Awesome. I'm gonna let a few more people in. Andrew, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Doing great. How's it going?
Wonderful, wonderful. Got any great stories to share with us?
No, I'm just vacationing here in El Salvador.
Okay. Well, vacations are always good. Right? Arlena, good to see you as well. Awesome. I want to encourage everyone to put their contact information into the chat. Amy, hey, hi, good to see you. One of our spotlight
Hi.
speakers. Awesome. Good to see you. You got any great stories to share with us, Amy? It was wonderful to have you on the program.
Oh, thank you. It was wonderful to be on, but today I will listen and comment as necessary. How about that?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Well, we are all about networking. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of the situation and put your contact information into the chat and connect with everyone. Wow, Jim, I have not seen you in so long. Wow. And I'm sure you have things to share. Good to see you.
Thanks. It's great to be back. I actually have a Tuesday morning off so I can visit. So
Nice. Oh, I love it. Well, great to see you. Awesome. And I see people putting information into the chat. Dwayne, hi. How are you? Awesome. So good to see
I'm
everyone.
good.
Awesome. Got any drone stories or just industry stories you want to share?
Well, I had a chance to go to the uh, drone and robotic summit in the Woodlands. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Tell us about it. Was it good?
Yes, it was very good. It was a lot of people that represented the oil and gas industry and the energy industry.
Oh,
Yeah.
fabulous. Oh, I bet that was fantastic. Awesome. So I see a lot of information already, people putting in their connection into our chat. I encourage everyone to reach out and connect with everyone. This is an opportunity. So I know we're also live streaming on various social media platforms. So we do have people that are monitoring the social media. So feel free to put your information in there because that's how we connect, bringing it all together worldwide. That is the amazing thing, right? So as we get going, I do have a couple of announcements that I want to make. So I'm going to put a link into the chat as well after I let a few more people come in here. Um, I did get a message from Eno that he was going to be running a little late. So no worries because we're all about networking. So we're just going to kind of go with the flow here. I encourage you to check out the vertical space treks. If you're not familiar with them, they are an adventure to go outdoors. I have one myself that is in Arizona. I invite you to check that one out. Anybody interested in getting off-road, off-grid, come join me in Arizona. We also have one in Ireland. So there's a few others that are coming on board too. So I put a link in there for that. I encourage you to check that out. I do see some more people connecting online. I love that. And then also, we have the one in Ireland. I don't know if you remember when Ian was on, there's a trek there in Ireland as well. So if anybody's interested in heading out and experiencing different parts of the world, great opportunity there for you as well. So got more conversation going into our chat and making connections. And I see Karina that's jumping in here as well. I don't know if she wants to unmute, but I know she's got a couple of things that's been happening. All these people joining us here saying hello online, but anybody got anything that they are doing in the industry that they want to share really quick before we do jump over to our spotlight speaker? No bragging? Nobody's going to be doing any bragging. All right. Oh, I'm so surprised. No bragging going on.
Well, okay, I can add.
Okay, go ahead and brag.
Okay, thanks. I've been invited for the second year in a row to the Drone Deploy Horizons conference as a VIP. I've in my last few years, I've consistently been one of the top pilots flying under the Drone Deploy program, meaning with the volume of flights. That's how they graded it, their pilots. That's a service. Drone deploys the service, so they just basically rack the number of missions and flights through. And I've been consistently at the top. Last year, they had to actually there was a change in the protocol because drone deploy really does focus on large companies, right? Drone deploy services a lot of very large companies like BNSF and large utilities and things like that, where they have provided support for their own in-house programs. So those companies have, I'll give you an example. BNSF, they're like 1,000 flights a day, right? So they literally, as an independent pilot, I had more flights than some of these larger companies. So they've been bringing me back, and I think this year we're talking about a breakout session from a independent pilot perspective. And so I'll keep you tuned on that. But getting back invited again as a VIP was quite an honor from those guys. Yep.
Nice. Good. Congratulations, Jim.
Thanks.
Nice, nice. So also check out the chat because Karina said that they're hiring. So with that though, our spotlight speaker is here. So I am going to bump him over to making him spotlight for everyone. And I will, hello.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, sounds fabulous. So
Awesome.
I'm super excited to have you here to share with us. And I know you're running around and going on lack of sleep right now, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay, so we're super glad to have you here and to be sharing because I know so many people want to grow their drone business. And that's what Eno is here to share with us today. And I hope he's going to share about maybe his new chapter in life too, a little bit.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
All right. Well, I
Absolutely.
made you spotlight. So if you'd like
Okay,
to bump over and go ahead and just kind of share a little bit about yourself and maybe
sure.
what's happening in your life.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. And as Desi mentioned, I have a brand new chapter in my life. My firstborn was born on June the 11th. So all the parents, I'm sure you know that the first couple of weeks are you're just running on fumes and just trying to figure things out. But I just rushed in from an appointment that my little boy had, and had to make it here for this. And definitely, I think I've been saying to myself, as much as we are new parents, I do kind of feel like entrepreneurship kind of prepares you for this a bit, and just kind of rolling with the punches and learning as you go. And you may not know everything up front, but as long as you're open and kind of have that good spirit, if things will be figured out. So super super excited to be here, and thanks again to Desi and the team for all the support. And really excited to get going today. I have a lot that I wanted to cover, and just to kind of give you some background on myself, those who are just meeting for the first time. My name is Eno Umoh. I've been in the drone industry for officially 10 years now. June of this year was 10 years. And I started out as a service provider in Baltimore. And I have now segued from a training provider, both for youth and for adults as well. And then now I'm a full-time consultant. So I actually help other drone companies with marketing and branding and sales strategy. I always say I'm like the Deloitte of the drone industry. And so one of the things I want to talk about today is what does that framework, look like? How do you actually grow a drone business? Because as someone who's been in the business for a while, of course, there's always a lot of attention on the technical side and how to fly the drone. And I heard our friend here talking about, Drone Deploy, and, you have Pix4D, and there's so many different other softwares out there. But when it comes to actually growing and selling yourself, it's not, something that comes natural, right? Especially if you come from a technical background. And the biggest mistake that I see a lot of drone companies make is they hire these, marketing agencies that a lot of times have no idea about the drone industry. So they're creating websites that really don't hit the mark. They're creating, PowerPoints or one pagers that really don't really speak to your audience. So we've developed a system that really helps to get to the root of how to grow the business. And what happened for me is my turning point was in 2020. And of course, at that time, we had to stop all of our in-person, trainings. And I said, you know what, I don't want to just create another course, like Part 107 course to put online, right? I want to go to the root of the issues that a lot of the drone pilots are facing. And that's what made me decide to focus on drone business education and the business of drones and how to actually put yourself out there. Just a little bit of more background, and then I'll get into like the framework. But we've been doing a lot of work internationally over the years. As our company's name, Global Air U, we like to live up to our name. So since I've been in the industry, been able to do workshops in over 29 different countries, everywhere from Nigeria to the UAE, UK, Zimbabwe, South Africa as well, and drones have taken me here, right? And it's been through a number of different partnerships that I can talk about as well. So those of you who are looking to expand internationally as well, especially if you are a US-based company, there are resources and opportunities that you can tap into with the Department of Commerce that they will either sponsor programming for you to go in and teach, or it could be more of a nonprofit angle for you to go in and expand as well. So we've been able to use those different opportunities to expand, over the years. But one of the things that I wanted to just kind of jump into, and please, if there's any questions, feel free to drop them in, at any time. But one of the things that I've developed from my years of experience in the drone industry is something called the LEADS system. And I'm just going to share my screen, and okay. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, awesome. So, as I work with more and more drone companies, of course, I noticed that there has to be a repeatable process, right? A framework that's followed to make this piece easy, right? Because I know how it is being a drone service provider. You're running around all day. You may be going to one site that's 2 hours away. Then you have to come back. You have to write a proposal. You have to write emails. It's like, when do you even have the time of day to even market, right, or reach out, or to do that lead generation? But one thing that really has stuck out to me as I've developed as an entrepreneur is, of course, developing a system to get those things done. And then just being more productive, right? Finding that time of week where you can get these things done. Because if you just hope that, you're going to start reaching out to, those prospects, or just hope that you're going to, start creating more content, it's never going to happen, right? You have to actually deliberately set aside time to do those things. But just to kind of start at the beginning, this is something we, again, call the LEAD system. And each letter, of course, stands for a certain part of the framework. So for the L, we have locate your audience. For the E, we have establish your brand and your offer. For A, we have automate awareness, which is your content or your marketing system. D is for DM your prospects. So literally the act of you going out on LinkedIn and other platforms and directly reaching out, to your clients. And then S we have for scale with systems. So I'll go through each of these in a bit more detail. And again, if there's any questions, I'm sure we'll have some time throughout here. And we don't have to wait to the end. If you have a question, just kind of shoot it in the chat, and happy to answer that as well. Anything else before I kind of, Desi, we still good? Keep on? Okay, good. All right. All right. So first we have locate your audience. And this is this is a big issue for a lot of beginner drone companies as well, but even some that have been in the industry for 5, 7 years and beyond. It's what is your niche, right? And in the beginning, you're always dipping and dabbling here. It's like, all right, well, I can do construction, and I can do some utility inspections. But then sometimes you go to their website and they also have like events, or they'll have like agriculture, or they'll have all these like kind of unrelated niches or industries that are just kind of put together on one website, right? But if you put yourself in the mindset of like a high value construction site superintendent, they have no cares about agriculture, right, or other industries that have no relation to them. So when they go to your website and they see that there's 5 or 6 different industries there, or people that you cater to, you don't look like the specialist, right? You look like someone who is just kind of a general drone person who might not speak the actual language of these particular clients. And the biggest mistake I see drone companies make is that they pick up the drone, they learn some software, they get some flight hours, and they think they can just walk onto a construction site, right? That doesn't qualify you because you have a drone, because you've studied some software. That doesn't qualify you to actually go out and deliver on these jobs. What the folks that they want to work with are specialists, right? They want someone who can speak their language. We've seen it time and time again with even like surveyors, right? The drone industry has a bit of a bad taste in the mouth for surveyors, because early on there were all these drone folks going out and say, "Hey, I can work with you. I can deliver, quote unquote survey grade accuracy." But when the drone person got out there and they actually gave them the deliverable, it was nowhere near what they needed, right? So now we're trying to actually, play catch up to say, hey, like drones actually can do this, right? And I have to prove to you how accurate things can be. So niching down isn't just a business decision. It's literally your business will hinge on this, right? You have to specialize in something. So within that niche, right, within that industry, you also want to be able to identify who is your avatar, right? So you want to be able to pick out a specific person to say, this is who I'm marketing to, right? So for instance, if you are talking to a property manager who manages, a ton of different commercial properties, or you're talking to a solar farm, specialist, or again, even a construction site manager, those 3 people, they have specific needs for each one of those, right? So your marketing material that you put out, and that one pager, or that ebook, or pitch deck, or whatever you're putting together, those have to speak to a very specific person, and it can't, again, be general. So the first thing is identifying your niche, and then it's understanding who is actually your avatar. What is their job title? What do they call themselves, right? And I can show you an example of that. And then we always encourage you to not just rely on finding them online. Another mistake I see a lot of drone businesses make is that they will put every single drone conference, on their agenda for the year, but they won't go to a construction conference, right? Or they won't spend that money to go to a solar industry summit, right? That's where your audience is, right? So before you, decide to, go to the next drone conference, like figure out where are my target, where's my target niche? Where are they hanging out? Where do they spend their time? And preferably in person, because people do business with people they know, and you won't get by just kind of randomly sending out emails and hoping that someone is going to reply. You have to be in front of them, shaking hands, and making progress there. And we always say, we suggest starting out with a list of 100 prospects that you can reach out to. So one of the things that I'm going to show here is this is a sample client, that we've worked with, and this is actually a dashboard that shows what each of these letters that I'm going to be discussing look like. So for instance, for locate your audience, we have L here. And I'll just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. All right, so we always start with, all right, who is the ideal customer avatar, right? So if we click here, we look at this, we see that this avatar is called Mike the Builder. We have, name, we have an age, we have his location, we have his occupation, right? So you really want to get granular with who this person is. Like you want to understand their persona. What are their psychographics? So what are their values? They care about safety and compliance come first. Deadlines and budgets must be accurate. Trust long-term relationships, vendor relationships over one-off deals. If we go down to like, what are their actual pain points, right? We see things like tracking subcontractors and overall site progress visually is a mess. Getting asked for updates and photos constantly by owners and VPs, walking large sites and daily and waste hours, especially in Tampa heat. This guy's in Florida, obviously. Manual progress documentation is inconsistent and prone to error. Can't always verify deliveries and work done without walking the site, right? So you're really able to like tap into what are the things that literally keep them up at night, right? It's not the fact that they don't have some nice drone photos to send to their or to post on social media, right? It's the fact that they can't track data, right? They're having issues. They're managing 5 and 6 and 7 different sites, and they don't know how to bring this all together. So the only way that you can understand this, of course, we get a lot of help with AI. We have a ton of prompts that help us come up with these different type of avatars, but you also want to talk to your target client, right? So when you focus on an industry, this really forces you to find out more about them, right? Interview them, right? Ask them, hey, like, what holds you up on a day to day? Like, what are your biggest issues when it comes to project management, or how you're able to deliver on your jobs? And that really helps you form an offer that you can now take them. So once we have an avatar, we create a business plan. And again, this is not a 20 or 30 page business plan. This is something that just generally keeps you on track. You want to be able to do competitor research, like what is your unique value proposition that you're offering, to your clients. One of the things that we always recommend is having a framework, right? So just like I have the leads framework, right? This is something that's, it's memorable, it sticks out. You could have something similar. So I'm going to use Rob as an example, since we just worked with him. But he has a website. Many of you are probably familiar with Blue Nose Aerial Imaging, and he's out of Tampa. So one thing that we helped him come up with is his blue framework, right? So when he's talking to his clients, he has brief, launch, upload, and embed. Right. So now when he's explaining exactly what he does, when his stakeholders or the project manager goes back to the owner of the company, they're not just, oh, this guy with the drone is coming out to give us some some cool pictures. They actually can explain that, hey, like he has a framework. This is what he does. This is what he's delivering on. And not only does this allow you to, sell yourself as a peak professional, but this is a lot more value. You can charge more, right? Because you have a framework, because you have a process that you take every single client through. So that's like really the importance of having a framework. Of course, pricing is always kind of the biggest thing here, biggest issue for a lot of beginner drone pilots. We actually have a pricing sheet. It's a free pricing sheet. I'm happy to share that. I'll put a link in the chat as well. It actually allows you to go in and just kind of type in a few numbers. And I'll just kind of show you that really quick. Yeah, here we go. So this is a really cool tool that I came up with. And basically it allows you to go and, just drop in your numbers for whatever you're paying yourself as a pilot, all of your expenses, right? So whatever, if you have a visual observer for that job, any other staff, you have to pay an editor, freelancer, maybe you have to rent some equipment, hotels, meals, car rent, everything that goes into the expenses goes into this subtotal here. And then we have an auto calculator that puts about 20% overhead on top, which of course you need to account for overhead and all the bills that you have to pay for your business. We even have something here for equipment depreciation and then an administrative cost because yeah, you have to charge for putting together that proposal, right? You can't just, that time isn't just lost. You have to, make up for the time that it took for you to put together all those things. So this gives you a total, and then we add a profit margin, and then this gives you like a total that you can charge, your client. So this is a pretty good tool. This is really for like routine jobs. This isn't like a set in stone thing for every single project, not by any means, but it is something that helps you kind of calculate your expenses and makes you feel more confident about that number, right? Because the last thing you want to do is put out a number and it just causes so much anxiety because did I charge enough or should I be so you want to be confident in the numbers that you're giving. So we're still on L. We're actually still on L. Locate your audience. So all these things kind of fall under there. We won't go all the every single detail, but again, I mentioned creating a prospect list, doing some SEO research for your website, creating some case studies, and so forth. So that is locating your audience, right? And you can understand that like it is a process, right? You don't have to do all these things at once, but it is very, very important for you to identify and locate who your audience is and where they are. Does it? Yes.
I do
Yeah.
have a question.
Absolutely.
This is phenomenal. This is so fantastic. I
Appreciate it.
thank you. So one of the things that you just did mention though was talking to your potential client. Do you have a recommendation of how do you even reach out to them
Yeah.
to get that foot in the door to do that?
Sure. So I would say it's a combination of things. You want to be targeted. And again, that's the importance of knowing who your avatar is, because if you identify, all right, these are, and I know I'm using construction a lot, but if you identify, all right, these are all the construction site managers or project managers in Houston, where I am, or in Baltimore or whatever city that you're in, you would now put them on a list. And then one by one, I would personally suggest reaching out via DM. And this is a newer concept when it comes to how you're reaching directly to your audience. And it is a numbers game, right? You're not going to send out 5 DMs and expect to, hear back from each and every one of them. I actually have someone on my team that their job is to reach out to at least 100 prospects per week, right, on my behalf to find out, if they're interested. So it starts with starting a conversation, right? You're not spamming people. These are real people, right? You get, gone are the days where you just kind of copy and paste a message and, you kind of go about your day. But yes, DMing is very important, opening up with some personal message. So what I would do if I was, looking to find some contracts, I would say, hey, I just saw you guys are, you have a lot of projects going on, downtown. I also work in the construction industry as a drone pilot. We work with, professionals like yourself to provide, accurate data. Would you be open for a chat, or could I send you my ebook that explains a little bit more about what we do? Right. So you do have to like initiate the conversation for sure. It's not the easiest thing. I definitely understand it. I'm not saying this is like, oh, just go out and, but you have to initiate those conversations for sure. And I would definitely suggest LinkedIn DMs for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. No worries. Another thing that, I've discussed before is like discovery calls and like, what do you actually say once you get on those calls? And that's something that I'll get into with the other letters here as well.
So we do have a couple other things in our chat.
Yes.
Question on pricing. So many construction companies want an hourly pricing because that's how they do their subcontractor work. Do you address that with your clients?
Yeah. So yes, that is typically how they're used to working, but what I've seen also work is just having packages, right? Having a low, medium, and high package that you say, all right, for $500, I'm going to come out, I'm going to take, 30 photos, I'm going to give you a 2D ortho, and maybe you throw in, some raw video footage, right, for that. For the $800 package, you could add a little bit more onto that. Maybe that comes with some sort of like final report. And then you can have a high package as well. If they try to force you kind of in that hourly, I think there's definitely a way that you can, negotiate that, right? That may be how they're, used to working with folks, but this is such a specialized service that you can't really, fit in there. Now, of course, have we charged hourly before? Absolutely. And, if it's a deal breaker, then obviously, figure out an hourly rate to charge them. But what I would recommend is having a set number of packages. And that just makes it so much easier because you can say, all right, if we come out, this many times per month, you can always kind of negotiate the rate on that. My issue with an hourly is, how do you account for the hour it takes for you to get there? Right? How does it, the hour it takes for you to upload the footage and, to write that proposal? Like there's so many factors that go into delivering on the job. It's not just that 1 or 2 hours that you're there, right? So that's my gripe with hourly. So if you are going to do hourly, maybe make it a little higher, right, to account for those other factors that go into completing the job.
Awesome. Awesome. I know there's a lot of stuff to cover here and
Yeah, sure.
in a short
Let's go
amount of
ahead.
time, but also
Yeah.
there's another comment into our chat that I'd say personally that although the new way is to reach out through social media,
Mhm.
the old phone dial, there's a way to go, right?
Yeah,
Always feel
sure.
like people work in space is a bit closer association. I agree with that, just having that conversation, hearing people and such like that. And so
Yeah.
those formats seem to be relevant to mailers and kind of the old days were reaching out by phone.
Absolutely. I would say it's again, this is not a cut and dry or just this is the only option that you have. If you're in an industry, if you're targeting an industry where phones work, for them, or maybe that's a easier communication. Absolutely. You can try that. It's also your personal preference as well, what you feel comfortable, doing. But you do want to just be able to test, right, and see what's working, right? What you don't want to do is, call, 200 people and you only get, maybe 1 or 2 responses, and then you keep doing that as well, right? Just be open to adapting different methods. I would say the only reason that I'm big on DMing is because it's a person-to-person connection, right? You are communicating directly with that decision maker, where sometimes if you call, they may push you off to someone, or you may not be able to get directly to that owner. But I could DM an owner from a construction company in the next couple of minutes, right? I just have to find their page and send them a message, right? So it just depends on just kind of feeling things out and what makes you comfortable, for sure.
Makes sense. Awesome.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Looks like we're good.
Okay.
In the
All right. Yeah. Keep them coming.
Okay.
So this is a big section. This establish your leads, E, and this is again where a lot of drone companies unfortunately miss the mark. But it's something that you definitely do not want to take for granted, because when you look professional, clients treat you as professionals, and they will value your work much more, as opposed to someone who, their website is off, or, their flyer looks like, they just kind of put it together, in 20, 30 minutes, right? So you don't ever want to undervalue branding. It is definitely, I would say, one of the top reasons that someone will choose you or not choose you, right? It's literally like how professional you look. So some of the things here that we always encourage your own businesses to take note of is, of course, your logo, right? You want to make sure that you have a nicely branded logo. I know how it is in the beginning. You're bootstrapping. Maybe you went to Canva or some other program and just put something together. And that's fine, right, to get started. But if you really want to reach these high value clients, you have to have a professional looking logo. And I have some examples I can show as well. Brand guide. This is essentially just something that defines your look, right? So what type of fonts are you using? What is your main what are your main colors, right? We recommend always just having 3 colors instead of having, multiple, different colors. Having a letterhead, right? So when you're sending official correspondences, nicely branded letterhead, LinkedIn banners, business cards, a one pager. And I would actually encourage you to have a one pager for a specific industry, right? So if you have a one pager for solar, you have another one pager for utilities, you have another one for bridge inspections, right? But you don't want to put everything on one one pager, right? You want to be able to send out something specific for that person who's looking at it. Another thing that we create, and I'll open this here. These are some good examples, as you can see. So these are some of the companies that we've worked with previously. And this is essentially, what we create. So it's everything from, one pager. This is an ebook here that says, how to reduce project costs, the real ROI of precision drone mapping for construction and engineering. So there's a couple of things you can do with this. First, I would encourage you to use your ebook as a part of your outreach, right? I always talk to drone business owners and I say, all right, well, okay, you're reaching out to people, you're not getting any responses. Like, how are you reaching out to them? Like, what type of materials are you sending them? And a lot of times it's literally nothing. they're just having a conversation and I guess hoping that the client will get what they're saying. But there's literally no way they're going to value what you're saying if they can't see it, if they can't read through it, if they can't really digest the information. So an ebook is very, very critical for you to have for your outreach, right? This is something else that you can say, before you meet with someone, right? You can send this ebook to them and say, hey, before we meet, I think it'd be great for you to, look over this piece of content, how to reduce project costs, so they can really understand and start to digest what's going on. Now, of course, they're not going to read every page, right? They're not going to, but it's the fact that you have this professional piece of content that really makes you stick out from others. Another example of how this is used is not just in preparation for meetings, but on your website, right? So when you go here, this is a great way to collect emails, right? So you have someone who is interested in this topic. This says mapping the real ROI of high precision aerial data that protects your bottom line. So now you type your name, you type your email, send you the guide. Now you get an email that you can add to your list. And then that person who's downloading it gets a great piece of value as well that they can learn, on their own. And I would say, hands down, your email list is your most valuable asset, right? I would take 100 emails over 1,000 followers any day, right? Because your email, these are people that trust you. These are people that have given you, that specific information, and that compounds over time, right? The best thing that you can do as a drone business owner is sending out at least an email newsletter once a month, right? And I know I'm talking about a couple of different topics here, but it all connects. I promise, it all connects. So the ebook is a way to get people on your email list. Once you get people on your email list, you want to make sure that you're actually talking to them, right? What happens a lot of times is people have this newsletter sign up on their page, and then they literally don't send newsletters, So it's what's the point of collecting these emails if you're not going to communicate with them? So sending an email once a month, letting them know, hey, this is the job that we did. These are our plans for July. Oh, we're going to be at this conference, or check us out, here. Something to kind of stay top of mind, so people that can actually, receive that value. So as you can see, this is another example. This is gentleman out of Missouri, Southwest Missouri, and same thing, name, email, and then download the free book. And again, it's a tremendous piece of value that you can give to your prospects. One pager example here. This is a LinkedIn banner. These are some social media templates. You can see how everything is nicely branded, right, to specific colors. And all these materials, have a purpose. This is another company we worked with. It's like a drone cleaning company. So we work with, all sorts of niches and different type of clients. Same thing here. This is a company out of the UK. And so you can see how everything kind of comes together to market, your services. So branding is very, 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 very important. And on that note, I'll just talk quickly on your website, because that is absolutely, whoops, let me go to the right window. Okay. So your website is very, very, very important. What we've done a lot of before is, and we actually have a website audit. And I'm happy to share a link to that as well. This allows you to go and actually, audit your own website. But without getting into like too much detail about, every single page, your most valuable part of your website is what we call the above the fold. Some of you may have seen a post that I did on this, recently, but too many times this part of your website is wasted, right? And what happens? Most drone businesses, they'll have something that says, "Oh, drone services in Colorado," or they'll have some sort of like kind of a creative statement here. But there's a couple of things going on here, right? First, you're calling out your audience early and often, right? So you have drone data construction for PMs that construction PMs can depend on. The reason that you want to have this information here is because this above the fold section, it's kind of a widely known thing that most people that visit your website won't scroll down all the way to the bottom, right? So you want to be able to capture their interest immediately once they reach your website. So that means having a clear statement on who you work with and the problems that you help, them solve. So faster progress, fewer disputes, zero guesswork. From orthos to thermal overlays, we help construction teams in Southwest Florida monitor progress, verify work, and protect their margins, all without walking the job site, right? It's clear as day what they do, right? Then you have a piece here for schedule a call or to download their free lead magnet, right? Same thing for this website, right? Precision drone surveys for construction, public works, and quarry projects in Southwest Missouri, empowering professionals with real-time insights to enhance safety, efficiency, and decision-making, right? Just assume that people are not going to, scroll down, right? So what would you put on the top of your website to ensure that they get the information that they need? So I just wanted to kind of touch on that, because of course that's a part of your branding as well. Any questions?
So we just have a comment in there from Sheila that she needs to have a meeting with her website. Yeah. You
sure.
really, hit it spot on that
Yeah.
that looks fabulous. And so we
Yeah.
need to work there.
Sure. Now, and again, it's when you're so wrapped up, of course, with delivering the jobs, and again, you're on the job site, you got to send this invoice, you got to call this person back. Like it's very natural to not have the time of day to do these things. But once you are aware, it's like, oh, okay, maybe this is why I'm not getting as many hits on my website. So yeah. Cool. So yes, so that is the E for establishing your brand. And I'll just kind of quickly go through the rest of these so we can have some time for comments and questions. So the A is for automate awareness. So once you establish, who your local audience is, who the audience is, you have your brand, you have the brand materials. We didn't talk too much about the pitch deck, but of course, you use a pitch deck during your meetings. That's also a nice branded piece of material that you can, present it, regardless if you're virtual or in person as well. And then once you get all those materials together, now you can comfortably go and start marketing yourself, right? Putting the word out there. and making noise, right? And marketing is literally how are you making people aware of what you do? So everything from optimizing your LinkedIn profile, making sure you have a Google My Business page, and not only that, making sure you have testimonials on that page, right? So every single job that you do, you want to send them, there's a link that you can get directly from your Google My Business page. Send them the link and say, hey, would you mind, leaving a comment about the work that we did, right? And you'd be surprised, like how many people are just open to doing that, especially if you did a good job, right? They're open to, providing some feedback and testimonials for you. So LinkedIn profile has to be set up. Google profile has to be as well. When you are posting content, you know, um, instead of just posting updates about, hey, I'm on this job site this week, or hey, I'm at this conference this week, these are great pieces of content, but the content that really gets things moving, it's educational, right? You're teaching something in your content. So the update type of posts are great, but you want to be like 60, 70% educational. So what does an example of that look like? You could say, hey, these are the 5 ways that drones are saving project managers time on a weekly basis, right? Or it could be something about the reasons why most solar farm engineers are starting to use drones, right? It could be something to that effect, but you want to be educating your audience, right? Not just providing updates. We also have here, build your email list, right? So I touched on the importance of having emails, making sure you're adding to that list, over time, and so forth. So just think of the A as marketing. How you're putting the word out there. You've done so much to get your brand together. You've located your audience. Now you have to actually put yourself out there. The D here is for DM your prospects. And as you've heard before, I'm a very big proponent on reaching out directly to your target audience on social media. And the reason I say LinkedIn so much is, most of these high value clients, they're hanging out on LinkedIn, right? They're much less likely to be scrolling around on like a TikTok or some of these other platforms, right? So the thing that I see sometimes, it's, drone business owners think they have to have these social profiles on every single thing to get the word out there. But if your audience is not there, right? If they're not even checking that social platform in the first place, then you don't really need to waste your time creating a profile there. So because I know that most users of drone technology are probably going to be on LinkedIn, that's always the go-to, right? You definitely want to make sure that your profile is set up there. And the more that you're posting, the more that you're active, you're commenting on other people's posts, the more that they will see that. And then get in the habit of just friend requesting your target audience, right? So, I think LinkedIn and it depends on like what type of, it depends on what type of profile that you have, but you do want to make sure that you are sending out friend requests weekly, right? I want to say, I don't think it's up to 100 that you can send out friend requests to, but every couple of days, send out 5, 10 requests to every single, superintendent or every single business owner, in your niche, right? Make it a habit of friend requesting them, because LinkedIn is set up in a way where they will see your post, right? They will see the things that you're updating. And if it's educational, if they are learning something from your post, again, not just a highlight of where you were last week, just, if you're educating them, they will start to take notice, right? And eventually when you do decide to reach out, they will be more comfortable. They would have seen you already, and not that you're just kind of reaching out, from the blue. So all these things work together. The more that you are active, the more that, you will be seen down the line. The last part is very, very important. And I literally could do a whole session on this letter alone, but it's scale with systems. And I'm a big user of AI, of ChatGPT, of, you know, all these prompts, but of course you have to use it in the right way. The things that I use it for, I mean, it's everything from, it could be concept notes, it could be, you know, blog posts, it could be, well, a lot of times it's SOPs, right? And using them for creating systems and processes within the business, checklists, all sorts of tasks. But you want to be able to be more productive, right? When you are setting out to implement some of these things, and don't just kind of depend on, you know, your own or your typical ways of getting things done, right? Be really open to how can I use, you know, AI to help, you know, with some of these processes. And yeah, if we have some time, I'll share some prompts that I use as well.
Awesome. Are there ways to automate some of the features, you know, kind of piggybacking on what Sheila had mentioned? There's only 24 hours in a day.
Sure.
And, you know, if we're doing all aspects of a business,
Yeah.
it's like, where do we start? And so are there processes that we could use to automate some of this?
Absolutely. So I would first of all, it's impossible to do, of course, everything in a day. You shouldn't do everything. And the only businesses that grow, the entrepreneur is delegating tasks, right? So I would first start by looking at what are all the repeated tasks that you're doing on a daily and weekly basis, right? So if it could be invoice writing, it could be even stuff, you know, down to answering emails or even creating content, right? Write each and every one of those things down. And then a simple question, you know, you could ask yourself is, should I be doing this? Right? As an entrepreneur, as someone who's growing the business, someone who's, you know, should be focused on strategy, is this, you know, a job that I should be doing? Another practical way to look at this, and I'm sorry if my numbers may be a little off here, but it's a concept where you look at, you know, let's say you want to be making about $100,000 a year with your company. That means any task that is below about $50 an hour should be delegated to someone else, right? Because the more time you're putting into that particular task, the less time that you have for those $50 and above type of tasks, right? So yeah, so look at the things that you're doing in your business on a weekly basis, even the things that you should be doing, right? That you really don't have the time to do. Write all those things down and then literally look at it and say, hey, do I need to be doing this as the business owner, as the entrepreneur? Is this my job to do, or should someone else be doing this? Now, I know the next thing is, well, maybe I don't have the funds to hire that person. Maybe I'm bootstrapping and things like that. I totally understand that as well. That's where you can use like a VA, right? And these VAs nowadays, you can, you know, use a Fiverr, you can go Upwork and find someone who's credible, that you can pay good, you know, wages in whatever country that they're working in. But there is no way that you can continue to do these tasks and grow, right? Because each and every minute, each and every hour that you spend on that task takes away from your time of doing more strategic work. So that's what I would definitely, you know, start with is, you know, what are the different tasks that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis? Do I need to be doing this as an entrepreneur? And then making a decision to hire someone literally that can come in and help you do those things.
Wow, great advice right there. Yeah, especially those emails.
Yeah, yeah,
Emails
exactly.
are very time consuming, aren't they?
I mean, it could be something when you go to these events, right? You collect 100, you know, plus, you know, cards. Who's logging in those cards, right? How are you putting them onto a list, right? You need to follow up with a lot of these people, right? So have someone that can just start that process for you, follow up for you, create those conversations. So that's not something that's just kind of continually sitting, you know, in the back of your mind for sure.
Yeah. So we just had another question pop into our chat. Are
Yeah.
there templates that we can use?
Mhm.
Yeah, contact you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
By the way, I did put your contact information in there
Okay,
several
all
times
right,
into our chat.
awesome, awesome. Oh, let me make sure. I think it's actually E Umoh for LinkedIn. But does that go to my page? Let me see. I don't know. It's all good. I can put the updated link. I think it's E Umoh instead of Eno Umoh for LinkedIn. But yes, we have a ton of tools, templates. One of the things that we have is we call it the drone business toolkit, and I'll just kind of show that to you. Oh, let me reduce the screen a bit. Yeah, so drone business toolkit, and this actually, has a lot of different, templates here. So we have contract templates, we have, proposal samples, we have, different type of, outreach emails that you can use. This is that job profit calculator that I showed you as well. So definitely all these are very much, available. I would say the ones that I can definitely give you all just for being on this call is our profit calculator, which I will put a link to that in the chat right now. And then there was something else that I mentioned as well. The website audit. Yeah, I can give you guys a copy for the website audit as well if you want to
Wow,
audit
thank
your own website.
you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. And of
Thank-
course, yeah.
So we do, and how much do you charge for doing a business training? If someone
Yeah,
was to actually come to you and want to subscribe to your package.
yeah, sure, sure. So I'm happy to show kind of the options that we have. It really depends on like what type of support that you need. Um, but basically we have a couple options. One is if you just want like some marketing material done, we call it the brand booster. That's where we create the pitch deck, we create the lead magnet, the logo, and kind of get you spruced up and ready to go. We have a package for around 1K for that. And we do have what we call a done with you, where we work with you for a minimum of 3 months. And we charge 1,500 a month for that for 3 months. And then this last package is more typically for like enterprise clients that have like big teams and they kind of need more than one VA support. But that VA that I mentioned, Pioneer VA, that's something that we can provide to you, right? I wasn't trying to just sell our services, but if you do want us to, install a VA into your company, that's exactly what we can kind of help you do. And yeah, we work with you for a minimum of 3 months. This isn't like a 30-day get rich kind of quick thing. We work with you. We go through our process. Typically, month one is for setting the foundation, the avatar, the business plan, the branding materials. Month two is for rolling out the content. So let's see what works. Let's start putting out things. Let's start sending DMs. And then month three is we figure out what's working, and then we just kind of scale it from there. And we just kind of press the gas. And then if you decide to stay with us, most people decide to stay with us after those 3 months. But if you want to go out on your own, we'll make sure that you have SOPs, you have the tools and things and resources in place so you can, hire your own folks if you want to. And we're here to help you that step along the way. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Fantastic. What an amazing package that you offer. And just having that resource available just to get some of that knowledge that you have
Yeah.
and those inside tips and suggestions and of course those templates,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
And why reinvent the wheel when you've already created the wheel?
We've done it. We've gone down those dark roads. So no reason for you to waste time and money trying to figure things out. Just you can rely on us to help you out there. So I'm gonna put in this this is the drone profit calculator.
Wow. Today's a great day to make sure you save the chat. Oh, and I want to
Yeah.
remind you, time has already gone by.
Oh
It is
yeah.
1 minute till 10 o'clock.
Sure.
This has been so good. Just
Sure.
amazing. There
Thank
it
you.
is. There's the link for the drone profit calculator. Definitely, Sheila. Yes, save the chat.
Yep.
So if you're not familiar with how to save the chat, you can do it if you're on a computer. There's 3 dots upper right-hand corner, and the first option is to save the chat, and you'll be able to have access to all of this great information that Eno has shared with us today. Also, am I allowed to say this?
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
I'm gonna just throw this out there this way.
Yeah.
Got any plans for any events in September?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, 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 definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So yes, we are going to be officially a part of Commercial UAV again this year. We're going to have a booth. It's actually at the Level Up Lounge, which some of you have been there. You may be familiar with Level Up Lounge. But what we're going to be doing as a part of the show is we're going to be doing these drone business audits and branding audits, 15-minute, 20-minute audits. So you'll be able to talk to me in person, some of my team and staff in person. So just drop by. It's totally free for you to get, an audit for your business, and yeah, find out how we could potentially help you in the future as well. So yeah, looking forward to meeting some of you guys.
Awesome, awesome. Well, fantastic. Well, I can't thank you enough
Thank
for
you as well.
sharing,
Thank
for
you as
coming
well.
today, sharing all this amazing information with us. I hope everyone found value in it. I can already see all the thank yous coming
You as well.
into our chat there. And so before we cut out, I do have one quick announcement that I do want to make, that this summer we're going to be taking a short break from the Coffee Connection for July and August. And we're going to be doing some replays. I can guarantee that this is going to be one of them. This has been fantastic. All right.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you.
looking forward to it. And I know I'm going to see you in September.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
All right. And
All right.
save the chat. All right. Bye,
Yes.
everybody.
Thank you
Have
guys.
fun.
Thank you so
Ciao,
much.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you as well. Thank you very much. All right. Cheers.
Bye.
It's 10 a.m. It's time to stand up and stretch. Let's take a break for 10 minutes.